A ton of Android buffs are coming, but should you summon for Dokkan Fest AGL Android 16? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We are back for another Dokkan Battle video. In today's video, we have the upcoming Dokkan Fest Android 16. Looking to be quite the powerhouse and amazing buff for the Android team. But of course, we have to answer that big question today. Should you summon for this character? As always, in order to answer this question, we will take a look at the following things. Number one, we'll look at the character himself. Is the character good enough to justify a summon on the banner? Next, we'll take a look at who could possibly be on the banner, right? This guy does not exist alone on that banner. There are going to be other units, and will those other units justify a summon on the banner as well? And then finally, we'll take a look at what lies ahead. Should we summon on the banner, or what could we possibly give it up on the near future? So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump on in and take a look at the unit. So we have the response to the emergencies Android 16. He leads androids in uncontrollable power, key 3, HP 200%, and attack and defense 170%, plus an additional HP attack defense 50% for characters who are also on Android Cell Saga, mission execution, or artificial life forms. So the leader skill, if we break that down, right, it's essentially the Boo / Android lead. Like that's what it is. It's pretty much all that's on that lead. You got a few Brolys in there and a few other uncontrollable power units like Goma and whatnot. But I mean, for the most part, right, given his setup, you're probably going to be wanting to run androids or Boo units anyway. So while not the best leader skill, it's definitely good for the androids team. Moving on, he does have a super attack that greatly raises his attack and defense for 4 turns and causes immense damage to the enemy. He has a unit super that can be activated when any Android 17 or 18 are attacking in the same turn, and it greatly raises his attack and defense for 4 turns and allows him to raise allies' defense by 50% for 2 turns. Now that 50% 2 turns defense raise is really good when you consider you're probably running him as lead and both in slot 1. He activates an entrance animation when there's another android's ally on the team. It gives him guaranteed guard and permanent, and all allies 16% permanent buff. His basic effects are key 3, attack defense 260%, all allies defense 60%, and androids or uncontrollable power allies attack 60%. So 60% support to androids or uncontrollable power. When attacking, he gets attack 260%. When receiving an attack, he gets defense 160%. As the first attacker turn, he has 60% damage reduction combined with this guard, and launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack. He will also give allies an additional 30% defense with an additional 30% attack for characters who are on androids or uncontrollable power. That's right, you read that right. That means in the first slot, androids or uncontrollable power allies are getting 90% attack and defense support. Now, if he gets sent to the second or third slot, he gives defense 160% and an additional super attack when attacking. As the third attacker in the turn, he just gets an additional attack 160% and performs a critical hit when attacking. So this portion of the passive is actually really nice because, right, locking does exist. So while he will lose his damage reduction, at least he's getting something if he ends up being locked, whether that's attack in the third slot where you're less likely to take a super unless it's the Rosemasu stage, which actually happens to be the most locking stage. They tend to super a lot there, but it also gives him crit and additional attack 60, so at least you can deal some damage as you're floating him off. So it can be useful. When there's an enemy whose name includes Goku, or starting from the 5th turn from the start of battle, he gets an additional permanent 160% attack boost, and once only an attack boost when attacking as the third attacker in the turn. So now this is crucial, right? This boost here, right? You wanna save that. For when you do the active skill, right? Because since it's a slot passive, right, you can activate this, you can activate it the active skill in the third slot, and it will proc this additional attack 160, and then you move him to the first slot, right, where he typically wants to be anyways. Like, so it's really, really effective. Or you can keep him in the third slot and keep this extra 160% attack here, right? It's up to you. But it's just a really unique portion of the passive. Other characters have had this, like the 5th year LRs, for example, have a similar thing you can do with their active skill in their third slot. But that active skill is actually pretty powerful. It can be activated when there's a Goku enemy or starting from the 5th turn, right? He massively raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage with the enemy, and disables enemy's action once with the turn. So pretty powerful skill right there with the disable action, while also being able to deal some pretty big damage. So you pop him in the third slot where he gets this 100. He'll actually get these 2 buffs while in the third slot, right? Proc this by doing the active skill, and I believe he keeps the 2 extra attack buffs, right? I'm not sure about this one, but I know he will keep this one and this one for sure when he does the active skill. So makes his active skill turn actually hit pretty hard if you do it correctly. So the unit itself overall looks really, really solid. The only thing is about the unit is he's pretty much designed to be run on his Android's team. And that is, right, because you want 2 of him around, right? If you want to see maximum effort out of this guy, you need 2 of them around. You need that 90% attack support that he's giving to his allies and defense support for that matter, right? He's not going to be the same unit running on like his own team. Like if you put him on like mission execution or something with Tao, like you're going to see a completely different unit. Not to say that he's bad, but he's going to be his best on an Android centered team with 2 of him as lead. So all in all, him as a character, I'm going to say that, yes, he is a good summon character. If you summon him, you pull him, and you have the androids to run his team, then he is an excellent character. He is worth your stones. So, he's also one of the few slot 1 units we've got this year. We didn't get many of them, and he is one of them, right? Once he gets fully built up, not only can he tank pretty well slot 1, turn 1, he gets even better as the turns pass, and he builds up that attack defense raise for 4 turns. So that's 1 in the category for the unit, but of course the unit doesn't exist alone, right? He's on a banner, and we know Dokkan Fest banners, especially recently since Pity, they haven't been the best. One thing we can say for sure, of course, is that he will have his STR-17, who is really good, right? He's probably, I mean, almost as good as the 16 himself. As a banner unit, he's really good. He's got everything you want out of a good support banner unit. He's supporting, he's got dodging, and he's honestly pretty good to boot, right? Raising allies attack and defense 17% for 2 turns, combined with what 16 is doing, combined from his 70% that he's already doing for androids. Like it's the chef's kiss to the androids team is what it is, right? He's really, really good. This also will mark the first return of the Dokkan Fest Tao, right? The previous banner, the Daima Goku banner, right? Returned Kid Goku. We've already returned Cell, and the Golden Week units have already returned on GDC. So it stands to reason that it's very likely Tao is the next unit to return. And so Tao will be on this banner. Tao is an excellent TUR. He's one of the top TURs right now. I know that's not saying much given the context of this year, but he is. And he is really good. If you missed out on him, there's will be a chance to coin him, but he will be on the banner as a featured unit. So that's really, really good. As far as the rest of the banner goes, right? Like if we look at how they handled Daima Goku's banner, which is the most recent banner, right? We had the return of Tao, or Kid Goku, Daima Vegeta, who fits his leader skill, Roshi, Topo. Like the only characters who really sort of fit on his leader skill were Vegeta, Piccolo and Gohan, right? These guys, right? Topo and Roshi were just kind of there. But the rest of them kind of fit the leader skill. So it's hard to say that it'll just be characters on the lead, right? Because Roshi and Topo weren't on his lead. So if we were to guess, though, I would assume we will probably see the EZA for the Android 17 and 18 on the banner, much in the same way we saw Gohan on the banner, who ended up EZAing during that celebration. We could also see if there is a potential Super EZA, which they are giving redstones out for, so that makes me feel like there is going to be a Super EZA during the celebration. We probably could see SDR Perfect Cell or AGL 17. Now, while this guy won't activate the unit super, right, Tech Super 17 can also be used on his team. And, you know, both of these guys would be great options, right? We got a few good cells already, so getting, just getting one more to partner up with, like, the AGL one that we have would be really, really helpful, or the new SDR one. So that would be really good, because I do believe, yeah, they don't share the same name, right? This is Cell Perfect, and this is Perfect Cell, so they could easily link up. So having him on the banner as a possible Super EZA could be good. I could also see them tossing on MVP 17 right along there. He does fit the category. He does fit with this guy too, right, as a Defenders of Justice character. So, I mean, I hope there's a little more value here, but I mean, the reality is there's probably not going to be too much craziness on this banner. There usually isn't. So unfortunately, that's probably a big no for the banner, as the only real returning favorable unit is probably Tau and the androids, depending on how they handle their EZA. So unfortunately, that's no for the banner. So we got one for the unit and none for the banner. So all that leaves left is to look at what lies ahead. If we decide to summon, what are we giving up in the near future? Well, the obvious thing is in, about 2 to 3 weeks, right, roughly around Christmas time, we should be getting the Christmas Carnival LR, which will be last year this was on the 11th of December, and it should be a double raids banner. Now, last year it did introduce 2 new units on global, but this year it should just be 1. Now, hard to say exactly what it is. It'll probably be something that fits the theme of Android 16. Could be, right, his opposite, right? So we could see maybe a Piccolo, although it's usually some type of Saiyan for this in most scenarios. So maybe it could be like Bye Guys Goku, or maybe like a Vegeta and Trunks tag unit, something like that, or maybe a Goku and Gohan tag unit. That one seems less likely, since we already got a potential for an EZA for a duo Goku and Gohan unit, and I don't really know what else they would do unless they did like the hyperbolic time chamber, which I don't know. Hard to say for this one what exactly it could be. Could also be something like the Gammas, considering the 17 here needs a Defenders of Justice, so it could be something like that. So it could be it could be something unrelated, well, not unrelated, but something sort of corollary to Android 16 and the 17. Either way, it'll be a double raids banner. So if you're interested in summoning on a double raids banner, because it's always pretty good, it feels good to summon on a double raids banner, you may want to hold off going too deep on Android 16's banner if you plan on summoning for here. And of course, the big thing that everybody's concerned about at the end of the year is, of course, the New Year's step up. The only thing following this is the New Year's Dokkan Fest, which I don't always agree that people summon on, as it's proximity to anniversary and their return on Golden Week. It's almost always better to just skip the New Year's Dokkan Fest, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. What I am going to talk about is the step up here. Right now, I've mentioned this in almost every should you summon up to this point, and we've kind of hit the we've hit the no turning back point. Right at this point, you should have whatever stones saved up for this banner that you intend on spending on it. And for those that don't know, right, the way the legendary summon step ups and the Dokkan Fest step ups work is you have 2 understones to work with, and at each step within that 2 understones, you're guaranteed a certain featured unit, right? So in step 1, last year, you were guaranteed, if we're looking at the Dokkan Fest banner, you were guaranteed an Extreme Z Awakening, Super Extreme Z Awakening character. On step 2, you were guaranteed an EZA category lead from the year. On step 3, you were guaranteed Dokkan Fest from the previous year, to include some LRs, such as LR Super Saiyan for Goku. Step 4, you started to get into the latter half of the year prior, 2023, into the beginnings of 2024. And then finally, the final one, you had all TURs up to the June celebration, August on global, and to include the Tanabata LR. On the New Year's Carnival, same thing, right? Banner unit, EZA LR, 2023 LR up to Omega Shenron, 2023 to 2024 Yellow Coin plus EZA LRs, and then finally ending with Jiren at the end of the 200. So it's a pretty good deal, right? Whichever one you want to spend your 200 stones on, it's a really good deal. This year, I assume, since the GDC LRs already returned on the Black Friday banner, this is probably going to contain the Golden Frieza and Gogeta on the Dokkan Fest, and the Carnival Wrath Broly on the Carnival banner, right? Honestly, in my opinion, the Carnival banner is probably the better summon, but there's still going to be good stuff on the Dokkan Fest. It's really going to be box dependent on which one's more valuable for you. But with the Legendary Step Up Carnival, you're getting Yellow Coin LRs, which are not always easy to come by. These will help fill out your boxes. Whereas, most of the characters on the Dokkan Fest will be showing up throughout the year on different banners. So, it's really just box dependent, but I always recommend people hold, 200 or so stones to do at least one rounds on whichever banner is most valuable to them. You don't want to you don't want to get yourself, because this banner here, along with the ticket banners on GDC, those are the type of banners that free-to-play players especially should be using to fill out their box, right? Not every character here is going to be perfect, and they're not all great, but they do help you fill out your box, which is going to help you complete missions in the long run, right? So I always recommend people do at least the 200 on this. So again, beyond this, we have the New Year's Dokkan Fest, which, while they could potentially be very good, could even potentially be LRs this year, it's still probably a better skip than the New Year's Dokkan Fest, than the New Year's Step Up, just because the proximity to anniversary and their return on Golden Week. So outside of that, right, we'll be entering our anniversary prep, and anniversary will be at the end of January, so you really don't want to be spending too much stones at all. So knowing what lies ahead, knowing how close we are to anniversary, and that you, the player, should be at least saving at least 200 to 400 stones for the step up if it's valuable to you, I can't in good faith recommend summoning on 16. As cool as 16 is, we're too close to anniversary and that step up for you to be spending stones here. Combined with the fact that, one, as a unit, you're gonna want androids to run him effectively, to see him at his best. I'm going to have to say that this is one of the few times that I have to give a full recommendation of no summon. Now, I don't normally like doing that, but with what lies ahead, what's potentially to be on the banner, as useful to most players, and his conditions as a character, I do think that this is a best skip. Unfortunately, of course, if 16 is your favorite character and you love the Androids team, by all means, do what you got to do, but don't spend too much. Now, for you free-to-play, low-to-play players out there, there are Dokkan Fest tickets that you could spend. I don't recommend doing too much on this banner. If you're free-to-play, low-to-play, still continue to save, but just know that those are there. And of course, we do have our Dokkan Special Day tickets, so there's always that option too. Maybe you'll get lucky on those tickets. It is, of course, a pity banner, which means 150 stones guarantees you a featured unit. 200 stones will get you the 55% copy. So, it's not terrible. But I do recommend most players go ahead and skip this banner and wait for the step up or the New Year's Dokkan Fest. So, guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, why don't you let us know, will you summon for Android 16, or are you going to save those hard-earned stones? I know it's hard. I know he looks good. I know potentially, right, if you're someone who enjoys running androids, I do. Funny enough, it's a hard skip, but I do recommend most players hold off and until the next big banners. But let us know what you plan on doing in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.